Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Restaurant News Networking Group. At the 9 o'clock meeting, we are a group of vendors in the restaurant industry who are here to help each other grow their business and to also assist any restaurant owner, manager, or chef with any questions or concerns they might have. Feel free to give us a call if you'd like to join the meeting at 561-620-8888, or go to our website at www.trnusa.com and take a look at our YouTube page, which is Today's Restaurant, and subscribe to it, and you'll be notified when new videos are posted. Good morning, everybody. We have a new face on the board this morning. I want to introduce Mike Roberts, and Mike is his company does helps businesses save money. So, Mike, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do, and tell us how we can reach you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Howard. Appreciate you having me this morning and inviting me to join the group here. So basically, I'll set a little precursor here, how I got to where I am and why that's of importance. So I spent the past 20 years, I know I probably look like I'm about 30, but a little bit older than that. I spent the past 20 years in the hotel restaurant industry, GM of several hotels and restaurants throughout the Eastern United States. And I decided to leave the industry about a year and a half ago and take my skill set, which was primarily around profit margins and creating efficiencies, contract negotiations, et cetera, to start my own business. So I joined Expense Reduction Analysts, which is a global network. We're actually the largest cost consultants in the world. So we focus on a variety of industries, but given my background in hospitality, I have brought hospitality, so restaurants, hotels, country clubs, golf courses, et cetera, into the fold at ERA here. So I'm working with various restaurants to primarily lower their food cost and other supplier-based expenses. So thanks for giving me the chance to send a little bit of an intro there.
Someone is at the front door.
You want to elaborate a little bit on, give us an example of how you might be able to help a restaurant save some money?
Yeah, I'd love to. I didn't want to take up too much time, but if you're
that's okay. You
happy to. So I'll give you an example. I'm recently working with a restaurant here. I'm a little bit north of Philadelphia. So basically, we came in. The owner is absentee. He has other business interests. There's the chef who's also the general manager, and he said, "Mike, I just need some help. Right? Can you consult with me? Can you? We're not making any money. Can you wrap your head around it for me?" So we really identified 6 different areas that we focused on. Primarily was food. So we're looking at broadline and produce, waste, linens, merchant processing, cleaning supplies, and utilities, right? But obviously food's the big nut in any restaurant. About 520,000 combined between broadline. They were previously using US Foods and produce, who was Farmart. So basically what we did is we went out to market for both of those services. We used their existing basket of goods, and we really focus on the top 20%. So the items they're purchasing most frequently, we're talking eggs, potatoes, et cetera, more commodities than anything. What we were able to do is we were able to reclassify them into a GPO based on the fact that they were associated with a hotel, and we saved them 40% annual on broadline and on produce. So that's 164,000 on 520,000 in spend. So that combined with the other areas, we're going to save them about 250 grand a year, move them from breaking even on an annual basis to making a few $100,000 a year. So a pretty big win. But so that's an example of what we do. We identify, we'll implement, and then we'll monitor that over 2 years to make sure what we see and think is going to happen actually happens. And it's all risk-free. We just share a portion of the savings we find. So it's basically found money. And that's what we do.
Mike, do you use their P&L statements?
P&L isn't that useful just because P&L just shows year-over-year trends. We're actually going to dive in a little bit further. So we're either going to look at the 12 months trailing general ledger, or I'm going to ask for 12 months of their accounts payable by supplier. So we can really dive into individual vendors.
That's great.
Mike, are you finding that if you use a company like Cisco, that you get different pricing in, say, Florida than New York, than California, than Illinois?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny, Edward. It's really dependent on the sales rep. And the sales rep, just their job is to charge the highest amount possible that you're willing to pay. It's not to give you the best price, right? So yeah, it does vary by market, and you really got to be on top of it. And most folks aren't. They're just taking whatever price they're being offered and paying it. And that's where the opportunity lies.
So if a company is based out of Florida and has franchises all across the country and they use Cisco, they can get charged different prices at different facilities.
Essentially, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Do they have a group purchasing order? Is anyone internally within the franchise looking at this and negotiating pricing and doing verification audits to make sure that markup on each good is consistent? If the answer is no, there's an issue and there's leakage. If the answer is yes, they could be doing a great job. So it's case by case.
So you basically outsource everything, food, linens, what about the equipment, anything like that? Is it anything and everything? And not just the restaurant industry? Is it other industries?
Our top industries are manufacturing, healthcare,
Okay.
nonprofits, and private
Healthcare.
education. So we do,
Okay.
you know, we can do any business. That's our best industries. But me, obviously, coming from the restaurant world, you know, this is just where I've been focused.
Sure.
So it's not that we outsource it. What we're going to do is we're going to come in, look at your contracts. We're going to look at your vendor relationships. We're going to ask how service is. Hey, we may not make a change. We may keep you with the same supplier, but we're going to make sure that supplier is charging you what they should be charging you based on the fact that we have 30 years of doing this and know where you should be, versus you going out there and not knowing what you should be charged, or calling a few vendors and assuming that just because you called two others, you're getting the best vendors at the best price and going with the lowest bid, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what we do every day of the year. So folks just don't have the time, to be honest. They don't have the expertise and they don't have the resources to do it. So that's why we're helping.
We have Ed, did you want to say something?
No.
No. Okay. We have a company in the 11 o'clock group that works similar to what you do. And as I told you when we spoke the other day, did you get a chance to look at that little video?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
They have a similar concept now. Not exactly the same as what we do, but the thought of making sure suppliers are optimized at the best pricing and helping with that is very similar.
Somehow the every restaurant should be looking at what Mike does, because he's there to help them save money. And it's really, he's doing it and he's getting paid based on his performance.
The key things, Howard, to know is it's not going to take much of your time. We're going to do all the work, and we're going to make it as easy for you as possible. Those are the things that folks are concerned about. Owners are concerned about. How much time is it going to take? Are you going to force me to go to new suppliers? None of that's the case, right? We're going to do all the heavy lifting. You're in charge. We simply present options and you decide what you want to do, right? The only thing that's not optional is if we deliver savings with your current supplier, that's an acceptable option and you have to move forward with that. Other than that, you're completely in control. So yeah, thanks for the opportunity to give the overview there.
Yeah, I have a question, or kind of give you an insight, especially on Cisco, because I had Cisco as a client back in the 90s. I worked for a company called Vita France Bakery, national company. I'm sure you probably heard of it.
No, I haven't. No.
Okay. I'm out of McLean, Virginia. But Cisco was one of my clients, and I think it's standard probably with US Foods, or I think US Foods used to be Monarch at one time and some other stuff. But especially when you do a show with Cisco, and then also You have to pay Cisco for each slot to put the food into the sell your product. So you're paying like a fee for them to carry your food.
Right.
So I had about 12 or 15 lines there, so you had to pay. It was like in those days $500-600, whatever. Then you have a show, then they want to give you, they want you to give kickbacks to the clients. So at the end of the day, Cisco is making money. They're because they're making money off of me, and they're making money off of charging the end user a ridiculously amount of money. And then to take you maybe 30 years later, or I worked for a company called Kingswood. We had Supplies on the Fly, which is their side of where they handle the equipment. Okay. And they would have the sales rep to handle the food, and they had to handle the equipment. So we had an arrangement where for every deal we close, they got like 5 or 6% commission off of it. So I mean, but they're making money, but then they pass it on to the end user, and they're paying more. And to be honest with you, they did a good job, but their prices were a lot higher than a lot of other vendors out there. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, don't use the word kickback.
Why?
You're going to go to jail. You're bribing somebody.
Oh, sorry.
I take bribes. No problem.
You're forgetting you're in a woke economy. Don't say that.
But
But
to
No, I'm
answer,
not
like,
sufficiently woke. It's okay.
as a side note, that just came up apparently in China, where U.S. companies are going over there on trade missions. Some of the local Chinese government people are offering commissions back to the people of up to 10% of what's invested. And that, of course, runs afoul to all government rules in this country. So that's been a stumbling point now for the last couple of weeks in China,
That's
which I
what
just found out about.
let's not get political, but that's what the government tells you. I mean,
Well, let's put it that way. How many people are being prosecuted right now in this country because there's kickback schemes in Africa or in Asia where they have embedded commissions that they give to people? You can't do that.
But I think the rule only, you brought up something interesting. I'm not sure that the rule applies if the US guy is getting a kickback. It's certainly true if the US offers a kickback to a foreign government or nation or stuff like that. I just don't know.
That's a good question.
well, let's be clear. Mike doesn't work on kickbacks.
no, I didn't refer to him. But
But he accepts
one more
cash.
thing with Mike, I would say 7% restaurateurs out there really have no clue what they're paying for. They really don't. They're buying the food, and then they look at their bottom line. And I see a lot of times, when I see a P&L or a balance sheet or stuff like that, I have to do when stuff gets anything over 75,000. I need tax returns and stuff like that. And people just don't. I think a lot of them, they just buy food and then, whatever. They don't look at the bottom line. So.
Yeah, that's a great point, Brian. The biggest challenge to what we do is just the status quo, right? People are just, hey, we've never done something before. We're going to stick doing to what we're doing, right? But anyone that really wants to improve and get better and is open to help, outside help, is a great fit for what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So let me. Excuse me. I just want to ask you a question. If a company sells ice cream, let's say, would you be interested in talking to that type of a manufacturing company, or is it so? What I'm trying to say is are your sources customer driven, or are you
So yeah,
supplier
so
driven.
I know exactly what you're saying, Howard. So if someone's not using a broad line, if they're not using US Foods or Cisco to purchase, right? If they're, let's say they're an ice cream manufacturer, right? And they're getting milk and they're getting eggs or they're getting flour and they're not using a broad line, we can help with your ingredients, with sourcing their ingredients. And that can be a major opportunity for food manufacturing. So yes.
Okay. Terry, you wanted to say something?
No, I forgot. Hey, I'm blonde, sorry.
Well, I guess the summer vacation period is over. Joe's back in his office. No beach, no beach behind him.
Yeah, exactly. Not out of the house, back in the office. Exactly. I do have a question for you, Mike. I've come across a lot of these expense reduction analysts over the years. I'm in the credit card processing business,
Right.
and a number of them have become, over the years, sales agents for me. Do you analyze credit card processing statements?
Yeah, we do. But here's the kicker, right? So if it's below, a certain amount, it's just not worth our time, right? Because we're working based
Right.
on splitting. So, below 50 grand, annually in processing fees, it's not worth it. So
Yeah.
happy to
Do
keep
you-
you in mind.
Do you make them change their vendors, or you make them stay with the same vendors and just lower the cost?
Both. Yeah, we'll look at both. But as you know, right, nowadays in
We could
merchandise-
certainly work on a kickback with you, if you like.
Yeah, and we do the
In
same.
China, if you like.
We do the same. We'll pay 10% out for anything that comes our way, right? So if a piece of business comes our way, we will do that.
I mean, that's basically what
not-
I do. I look at the
Yeah.
processing statements. I don't get paid for it unless they switch the processing over to me.
Right.
I know you do utility bills and all that stuff. So I've dealt with a number of guys like you. If we can help you out in that, if they're interested in looking at a vendor, we can certainly work with you on that and even help you analyze their statements. But I see but are you doing the utility bills too?
Yeah, utility is typically not large enough for us to do it. For utilities, it's really 500,000 or so annual expense to look at that. So we typically work with a little bit larger companies. Joe, you're probably working
Oh,
with
so you're really focusing on their food costs.
you're probably used to Schooley Mitchell, right? Who works, they have about 10 or 12 categories. They work with really small businesses. We do 45 different expense categories. So we'll look at basically any supplier-based expense category.
I got you.
We're pretty broad. But we'll go small, but we also work with I'm working with Kodak Miraclon right now, right? They're international multi-billion-dollar business.
There's a number of these inventory management systems for restaurants. There used to be one here in Boca, Diner's Edge, Margin Edge, Market Man. They basically allow the restaurant owner to take their invoices, scan them in, and send them to this inventory management company. And they will basically make sure the invoices match the purchase orders they issued and the cost. So, rather than having to have a recipe file for each menu item in the system, which is the ideal way to do inventory, they're just scanning invoices, and sending them to, there's a number of companies that do that, but it seems like the trend is they just scan their invoices into the system, send them to these vendors, and these vendors will not necessarily manage your inventory for you, but, track your purchasing costs, expenses or something. There was one here about the Diner's Edge and Market Man, Margin Edge, Whisk, there's a number of them that are focused on restaurants.
Joe, you're confirming what I saw at the NRA show. An awful lot of people up there are selling software to do inventory control and manage costs via entering paperwork, basically scanning in paperwork. So that's there.
Yeah, if you're a KFC or Burger King, you only got 100 menu items, and the recipe file is not that big. Couple hundred items, you can manage it with a recipe file. But if you're a fine dining restaurant, with 400 menu items and everything else, it's impossible to keep track of all that. So they're just scanning invoices into the system. I know Toast, my biggest competitor, brought a company called Extra Chef, EXTRA Chef, And that's basically what they do. They're really not doing inventory management. They're just scanning invoices and comparing it against your, I don't know, whatever your costs are on file, inventory or whatever. But I know there was and Diner's Edge was in Boca, Dining Edge, a girl named Naomi was doing that. And, but the big players, I think the big players besides Toast, Extra Chef, are Market Man, Margin Edge, and a few others. All right, so it's pretty popular. Just give these guys, scan your invoices in, and they'll basically compare it to your purchase orders and adjust your inventory that way.
Mike is based in the Philadelphia area, but he works all over the country. So we just want to throw that in as well.
Thanks, Howard.
Where in Philly are you? Where?
Yeah, I was in Center City up until when I started my business. So I was at the Latham Hotel and Urban Enoteca restaurant, and then I went to the Windsor Suites, and I opened the Motto Hotel, and we worked with, I don't know if you know Defined Hospitality. They had Soraya and Condesa, and they were the top restaurant group in Philadelphia. So I actually oversaw 5 of their locations in my last position. So that was
I'm originally from Philly. I've been out of there, but I go back to every couple of years. I know there's I went to a restaurant a few years ago. The guy has 4 or 5 of them. Maybe that group was over at like 17th, and I don't know whether it's Arch or Market or Spruce in that area there, but this guy's got 4 or 5 of them. But all right, but you know, I've been out of it so long. What part of Philly you live in? Where's your office in?
Yeah, now I'm in Bucks County, so I work out of my home. I'm in Doylestown.
Doylestown. Okay, sure. Right off 202 or 611, 611. Right, yeah. I
You're,
lived in Amblin.
You're right on it, Jeff. Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, if it's helpful, Howard, I could throw my contact info on the chat and my LinkedIn, and feel free if anybody ever wants to reach out or connect. Happy to do that.
Well, like I said, I will send out everybody's contact information to everybody that's here. And if your contact information on the sheet that I send out, everybody, if there's anything that's not correct or needs to be changed, please let me know so that I can keep it current. All right. So I think what we'll do now is unless anybody has any more questions for Mike at the moment, let's do our intro so that he knows who we are. So Joe, why don't you start us off, because you did touch on it. So start out with the intro.
Yeah, sure. My name is Joe Cregan. I'm with the company in just outside of Fort Lauderdale called Card Payment Services. I'm a reseller for Fiserv, used to be called First Data, payment processing, Clover and Adello POS systems. And occasionally we also resell ADP payroll. So we're a one-stop solution to restaurant owners' transaction processing requirements. We support about between 600 and 700 restaurants, mostly here in Florida, to our office here in Fort Lauderdale, another one up in the Orlando area. And then we have agents across the country. So it's, for lack of a better word, we've been selling inventory management, credit card processing, and POS solutions for years for these restaurants.
And how can we reach you?
Oh, I'm sorry. www.cardpaymentservices.net and 954-635-5044 is my phone number.
Thank you. Brian, good morning.
Morning, everybody. I got to go in a few minutes. The FBI is coming. I'm just kidding.
Kickbacks.
No.
But you didn't pay your taxes?
Yeah, that's it, man. No, Brian with Rogue Financial Group. We are a commercial financing company. We've been around several years. I've been in the industry for about 16 years, working primarily on the hospitality side. And what I do is I finance commercial equipment. It could be from small projects, large projects, startups, restaurants, some hotels. I do a lot lately in the convenience store industry, breweries, and been doing a lot of lately food trucks. Again, Brian with Rogue Financial Group. We are a commercial equipment financing company. I can be reached at 404-723-7222.
And you're located in the Atlanta area.
That's it. Well, I also work all over the country too. So
Okay. Chris Kaufman, good morning.
Good morning, Chris Kaufman, Restaurant All Stars, providing restaurant human capital for the restaurant industry. We are trusted advisors to bring talent to restaurant companies, large and small. Just picked up an assignment yesterday for an executive chef in Folsom, California, even though we are based in Vidalia, Georgia, where the onions grow tall. And we work throughout the United States and have been since Monday, April 6, 1981. I am the only president Restaurant All Stars has ever had, and there's a reason for that. And it's a good reason, because we provide restaurant talent in an all-star fashion. To reach us conveniently, 404 All-Star, 404-255-7827. Just ask for Chris. Have a good day.
Oh man. When are you appearing on stage again?
We got some negotiations going on for the entertainment world gets busier as we get past Labor Day. And then holiday parties and all that other good stuff. But there's a couple guys down in the Tampa area that I've been in conversation with about having a showcase type of show. And as that becomes reality, we'll definitely make it aware of what's happening, what's going on. Yep. And,
Yeah, I was told I should be on stage, and there's one leaving in about 10 minutes.
oh, I'll tell you, what crap.
What a boom. Yeah, tough crowd. You know what I mean? A tough crowd.
Yeah. Nuncios, formerly Vito's. The special was broken leg of lamb.
All righty. Ed, good morning.
I've got to follow Chris again. Okay. Yeah, my name is Ed Gerton with Seco Sales, located in Orange Park, Florida, which is just outside of Jacksonville. We are an equipment supply company that specializes in frozen dessert equipment. So we have batch freezers for hard ice cream, soft serve machines, whipped cream machines, chocolate rendering machines, machines that make pastry, display cases, slushing machines. We represent Carpigiani, ISA, and BGI among the three the big ones. Anyway, Ed Gerton with Seco Sales, 904-334-4489.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
as opposed to Vidalia, we are about 40 miles from the beach here.
Terry, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I
Terry.
am very proud to say that I have been with this company since almost the beginning, and I handle the office, and most importantly, proud to say the monthly lead reports. These are reports second to none that you would get 9th, 10th, 11th, somewhere around there, depending on if there's a holiday, in an Excel spreadsheet format so that you can sort by zip code, you can sort by city, category, giving you the status of where the restaurant is, if it's permitting stages, planning stages, if it's under construction, what its name is, who the owner is, the owner's phone number, email address, about when they're opening. And then there's a column that has a lot of other information. Do they have other locations? Are they planning to go and open up into nearby or other states? Many are. I'm shocked at how many new restaurants that are coming in, especially to Florida. We have a report for Georgia, which Brian knows about, and we have, because he gets it, and we have one for Florida. Florida has more information. Obviously, it's much larger, and we do cover the Panhandle all the way down to Key West. If anybody wants a sample report, let me know. I'm happy to send it out. Terry, Terri at trnusa.com. Thank you.
And the Georgia report also has
Some of
increased-
Alabama.
an increasing amount of information
Yeah.
about Alabama opening.
Right.
Rick mentioned that a couple of weeks ago about how Alabama is growing, and especially around the Huntsville area and some of the major cities. And that's absolutely true. So tell us about it, Rick.
All over. Yeah, I've been adding those in as well, and they're all at the top of the under construction together in red so that you can see it's Alabama.
Yeah. Huntsville is the fastest growing city in the state of Alabama right now. We do have the largest population in the state with the worst infrastructure, and anybody in Huntsville will agree with that because we are north, south, east, and west, and nothing in between. And it's a clogged artery. And as a matter of fact, this morning, there was a report here in Alabama that the city of Mobile is trying to annex 2 extra counties to try and compete with us as far as population is concerned, because there was such a major withdrawal of individuals because that whole county has gone completely woke and a lot of individuals are not happy. But that's another story for another time. But my name is Rick Israel. I am the president of Archie Agency, which is the acronym for April, Rick, Charlie, Hannah, Israel. We are an independent insurance brokerage firm. We help individuals in the ACA and also group policies within any restaurant owners who are looking to get a small group policy or ancillary products for their employees. That is the biggest thing I know that Chris Kaufman has run into with employers and companies not wanting to offer benefits. And the thing that individuals are looking for are benefits. I know, Mike, you deal a lot with the food costs, but benefits also plays a major role in how a company can survive with employees. We also help, our main niche is Medicare. And we are in the middle of the certification season presently. And so we can also assist business owners who don't know anything about Medicare HR individuals. They can call on us so we can help their employees navigate the Medicare field. I can be reached at 256-937-2537. And our website is www.archie, spelled ARCHI-agency.com. And my nickname now is Jughead. Get it? Archie Jughead.
I'd lose that if I were you.
It's lost. Don't worry about it. My colleague made fun of me, but because he couldn't quite understand where the Archie came from. But it's a great acronym. So, but glad to be here.
Okay,
We're
thank
glad
you.
to have you. Yes.
Steve, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Steve Whitehill. I own Anchor Business, excuse me for the noise, advisors, and I help people buy and sell businesses of all sorts, restaurants, restaurant supply businesses, equipment manufacturers, all that good stuff. If you have a problem, come to me and I can help you with it. Steve Whitehill, Anchor Business Brokers. My phone number is 561-376-7500. And my email address is steve@anchorbb.com. Thank you, guys.
Okay, Mike, now that you've seen and heard us all, I want to backtrack to you so you can add anything that you might have left out, like your phone number or how we can reach you.
Yeah, sure. Happy to share that. Now, it's helpful to understand what everyone does here. Seems like a good group, but my phone number is 484-888-2682. And my email address is mroberts@expensereduction.com. Thanks.
Okay. Anybody have anything else they want to bring up? Or
Yeah, in the past, we've talked about supply chain issues a lot. And
Right.
you realize that in California, on the West Coast, the dock workers have settled with the owner. So the threat of a strike is done over there. Now it's coming to the East Coast, but the East Coast doesn't expire until September of 24. And I've come to find out yesterday, the big issue between the East Coast and the Gulf versus the West Coast are the crane operators. On the East Coast, 90% of the crane operators who operate the big cranes are employees of the state or the city they work for. While on the West Coast, they're part of the union. And
Interesting.
I did not know that. But like in the
Wow.
Port of Savannah, all those crane operators are employees of the state of Georgia. So they rely on the union people to do all the hookups and move it around. But anyway, I did not know that. And that was one of the biggest contentions is that those issues. And I did find out yesterday that all over the world, the most efficient port in this country, and Mike, this will be you, is Philadelphia, which made it, I think it's 92nd on the list of the worldwide. Nobody else is as efficient as Philadelphia, which shocked me, but that's the way it is.
Shocks me
So-
even more. Being from here, I'm shocked.
Yeah, I know. Having coming from New Jersey, I'm shocked anything up there is fast or good.
That's right.
So anyway, and the other thing that's happening is UPS right now.
Mhm.
UPS had supposedly a tentative agreement because one of the big hangups was having cooling systems in the trucks in the South. That was agreed to. But
Good.
now there's other issues that are clogging it. And I understand that if there's not an agreement by this weekend, the union is saying they're not going to have enough time to get this out to everybody to vote and have a ratification vote. So I don't know what's going to happen with UPS because their contract is up at the end of this month, July 30th or 31st.
Ed, you were talking about that. I think the USPS is going to be right behind it because there's talk with that because they're forcing with the Amazon situation. If UPS goes on strike, that's going to put everything on the United States Postal Service. And some of those cities are already working 7 days a week with no days off. I saw a USPS truck leave our postal office at 6:15 this morning, and I've seen them out in Huntsville. Now, remember, Huntsville is not like South Florida, still 11:30 at night delivering mail. It's ridiculous. They're actually, United States Postal Service now is foregoing the civil service test because they're so desperate for employees.
Okay, I did not know that. I know around here in Jacksonville and Orange Park, the post office vehicles are working on Saturday, delivering packages on Saturday. Let's put it that way. I have not seen them on a Sunday, but I know on Saturday they're delivering packages.
Yeah, they've been doing Sunday here. Amazon
Yeah,
only.
they're here on Sunday.
It's only Amazon, nothing else but Amazon, because that's an agreement between USPS, UPS, and Amazon. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know, the motion picture industry is on strike. Entertainment industry is on strike. So we're going to have UPS on strike. The post office strike. I mean, do you remember years ago there was a strike in the post office back in the, I'm guessing the late 60s, early 70s?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
Oh,
remember.
yeah.
that.
You weren't born yet.
I was too.
No.
I was in the reserves at that time, and I got called up and I worked in the post office on 42nd Street sorting mail. And I'm sure people are getting mail today that I sorted in 1969.
There's that check I've been waiting for.
Ha,
Howard, I thought that the Postal Service couldn't go on strike.
They were not supposed to, but they did.
they
And
did.
Yeah, we were.
that's
we-
what
we were
happened.
talking-
They called up the reserves and National Guard, and that created another problem. National Guard was created to be called up and put back into put back into non-military life. The reserves, on the other hand, were created to be called up in time of crisis, and they were to serve out their time. And they called up thousands of reservists all over the country, and it was during Vietnam. So everybody was on edge, thinking that they were going to ship us to overseas somewhere. But it turned out that in order to put us back into civilian life, they had to come up with a new plan. So they came up with a deal. They gave us a year off of our time. And they never negotiated with me, but that's the way it ended up. I would have pushed for more years. But it was interesting. I mean, the post office, for what they do, and what UPS and FedEx and what they do, it's amazing that they can deliver stuff so quickly and so accurately. It really is.
Well, I would debate accurately. I would have to debate that. But Ed, you were talking about, the USPS can't go on strike. Well, I mean, air traffic controllers went on strike back with the AIDS, and look what Reagan did to them. So I mean,
You fired them.
fired them all. And so if USPS goes on strike, well, what's Biden going to do? I mean, will he fire them all?
He'll be asleep.
Well, UPS is a private company,
No, USPS.
or USPS, yeah.
They're threatening
actually,
to strike also.
Technically, they're a federally owned company, but they're not part of the federal government.
Right. I'm very surprised if UPS gets air conditioning in their trucks or cooling device in their trucks, then the USPS is going to be right behind them on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
But wait a minute now. The problem is it has to be all electric, so they run out of power halfway through the route.
Oh, so I'll wait till we start recording because I got some great news. I'll wait till we start recording.
No, they're not worried about electric. They just go to Steve's house and plug it in.
I was going to say, Rick, what are you pregnant that it's a great news, or?
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
what's the breaking news, Steve? Rick?
no. So our house finally got delivered.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, I
Thank you.
saw it.
And we're waiting for the state to inspect because the state of Alabama requires new anchoring systems. So that's all done. Wait for that. Once that's done, they'll marriage the two sides together, and they're running all our electric today. But we're fighting with the electric company because they're trying to force us to put a new pole in. And it was after the fact that they pulled my meter to begin with, and they didn't alert us. So we're kind of fighting with them right now, but they're running their electric, and I told them that we need a move-in date of July 29th. So it's 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Put in solar
Major
panels and a
congrats.
battery.
Pulling. Well, the problem with living off the grid, Steve, is they don't like that here.
I understand. They don't
you
like
to
it
live off
anywhere.
the grid. Yeah.
In Florida, if you do get solar panels, it is my understanding that you feed the extra electricity back into the grid, but you don't get paid for it. You only get some minimal amount of money. I think it's for the meter or some nonsense. I mean, just the connect charge, or some non-important money that comes back to you. So yeah.
So they're basically helping themselves while pretending to help you.
Correct.
Thank you.
Keyword pretending.
Right. And by the way, to make it worse, I don't know this for a fact, but I read someplace that in fact you have to get an electric meter. You can't build a house and be really totally off grid.
Yeah.
Well, you can in Alaska.
In Alaska, yes, but not in Florida. I don't know in Alaska. In Alaska for sure, because almost everything's off the grid in Alaska.
Yes. I don't know.
I thought that was fascinating. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I did a calculation. As many of you know, I have an electric car now. and I get 2 years of free charging.
Wow.
And it doesn't cost a lot to charge it at home, but charging, first of all, it's free. So when it's convenient, I charge up. But they charge 48 cents a kilowatt hour. And you use a fair amount of power. Anyway, I did the math. I'm going to do it again. I did the math about a week ago. And it costs more, depending upon the efficiency of your gasoline car, you know, and how much gas costs. It struck me that it costs more to charge an electric car than it does to fill up a gasoline car and to operate.
Well, I could have told you that.
But Steve,
Well,
Steve,
you know,
also,
Just a minute.
yeah,
could that, Steve,
We
could
have
that
three-
also be based on what part of the country you live in?
no, there's a lot of variances, including
Yeah.
how efficient your electric engine is versus
Right.
somebody else's, and all sorts of stuff like that. You know, but and I'm going to do a couple of calculations, see where it works out. And right now, it's for 2 years, it's free, and I have a 2-year lease, so it's not a real issue.
Right.
Well,
But for other
in,
people who
I'm sure you've heard that in New York, they're trying to they're trying to ban gas stoves.
yes.
That's all over the
The
country.
restaurateurs are going crazy. I don't know if that's like that in Philadelphia or not, but in New York, they're trying to. I can't believe they're trying to ban gasoline. Gas cooking equipment. That's
Well,
crazy.
the only person that uses an electric stove is a sushi chef. Everyone else uses gas.
Are you sure? Because the Japanese restaurants I've been in use gas stoves.
They all use gas. There was a billboard that said 99% of the chefs across America prefer gas. The other guy makes sushi.
Hey,
I
Real
always
quick.
remember that because that was the best billboard I ever saw.
Yeah, I would think.
Howard, I apologize. I have to go for a 10 o'clock meeting, but thanks for having me, and it was a pleasure meeting everybody.
Take
Nice
care.
meeting you,
Okay,
Mike.
Good night.
hopefully you'll come back next week.
Would love to. Thanks so much.
Okay.
thanks.
Bye-bye.
Well, Howard, you know,
Bye.
they're trying to ban the gas stoves. Here in the South, you know, there's larger cities are prevalent with natural gas, but where I live, there is no natural gas. It's all liquid propane. So I wonder if they would try and ban that liquid propane as well.
The
Probably.
the
Well,
interesting,
but liquid propane sits in a tank. It's not running through the natural
Mhm.
ground. I don't know how that would be against what they're trying to do. And why would they try? Why are they trying?
carbon emissions.
That's
And
what-
carbon dioxide, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
what
Rick,
the
that-
funny thing is, when New Yorkers come down to Florida, all the women complain about electric cooktops.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's true.
Rick,
Yes.
propane. That's gonna kill a lot of these food trucks because a lot of them use propane to, yeah.
Sure.
But another thing, let's talk about electric real quick. Chris might remember this guy. His name is Mickey Craddock. He ran the test kitchen at Georgia Power, which was electric. So they had this huge test kitchen for electric equipment. And then they would do demonstrations with all this different types of electric equipment. Unfortunately, when COVID came, they closed it down. It's not there anymore. But, you know, I guess, some people prefer electric, some prefer gas. Me, I like gas, but
Yeah,
yeah.
gas. It's so hard to cook on electric. I have,
yeah,
It's a
and
function.
my
of-
son works for Nextel out in California. He's one of the higher ups in Nextel, which is was part of FPNL out here. And I tell you, my electric stoves, I hate it. I hate it. I'm so used being from California,
Yeah.
everything was gas.
yeah.
So hard to regulate. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm not
It's
gonna
a function
say.
of what you get used to, really. But you're right. I mean, and the reason is I think the reason is you look at the flame on a gas stove and you sort of judge it that way, where
Right.
you can't do that electrically. I mean, you're-
No. An electric oven, it just doesn't taste the same. It's just, I hate it.
That's like using well, that's that's no different than using a LP gas grill or charcoal grill.
Oh,
I'd rather
sure.
use a charcoal
No.
grill because it tastes better.
You use the charcoal grill, of course.
Where you're tasting the charcoal.
Yeah,
Wood, it's effectively the wood.
Yeah,
right,
That's
right. Apple wood soaked, absolutely.
Hey,
In a
folks, I gotta
smoker
run.
or,
I gotta
All
run.
right, we've come to the end of our allotted time, so I want to thank you all for coming. And for those of you who would like to get in touch with us, give us a call at 561-620-8888, or go to our website at trnusa.com. And we'll have a great weekend, guys and girls. We'll see you next week, and be safe.